what's the first thing that has to happen to pass the bill? Huh? Before that, you have to come and I'll help this process, and y'all can know some of this more once we get going. Whenever you come up with an idea for a bill, and let's just say this, increasing the filling capacity, it takes legislation to pass that, to make that law. The starting point is to find a state representative like, so you've got to come and convince me, that's what do you know? I'm not going to do that, but let's just say it's what they do. So then what would you do? Well, you would go and get law, you go find out, well, who will convince this jury that we need to pass this bill? So what do? So you go get your, I'm going to go get drivers, and I'm going to have all this. And I'm probably going to go find some news articles on the impact of some death happening, so that this is true and make this reality to me. And so that you're going to try to find people to get me to the point where I'm committed to file a bill. Because we can only file so many bills to get through the session in 140 days. We have about 110 left, and we have not one bill that's in committee, and we go through the committee process. So, number one, you've got to convince the rep or senator to get your state rep and your senator to file at the same time, so you can get them working together. So, I file the bill, y'all convince me. I go down to the Chief Clerk's office, and I file the bill, and then what happens? By Constitution, it has to be read, so they basically have to read it on the House floor, but and it has to be read by law. It has to be read 3 times before the House before it becomes law. The first time is just the beginning. It's read. I apologize. It's read, and then it's that's Judge Vine. You know, that's a county judge, and that's sometimes we've got some legislation we're working on, and he's calling me and say, "Hey, how's that going?" He's our county judge in Grayson County. So we have to have that bill read. At that point, it's referred to a committee. And this would probably go to Transportation Committee, Law Enforcement Committee, Criminal Jurisprudence Committee. There's 34 committees. You can go to one of those 3. That bill is assigned there, and then what happens to the bill? You said it gets heard in the committee, but does it have to be heard in the committee? In Texas, it's up to the chairman of that, whether they want to set it for hearing. What if that chairman never sets it for a hearing? What happens to that bill? It dies. What if we hear it to the committee, and then the committee has a vote? And what if the committee, you don't get a majority of votes? What happens to it? It dies. So if you get the committee to vote for it, then what happens to it? Then it goes back to where? No. You think it goes to another committee called Calendars Committee. And the Calendars Committee sets it on a calendar for the floor of the House. What happens if that Calendar Committee chairman, chairwoman doesn't want to set it? It dies. So that's why you have to know all these people and make sure your state reps working to try to get your bill passed and working. And what if the state rep says, look, they're just not setting it? What do? Well, then you call you guys and you need to get your forces together. Just like y'all came and convinced me, this guy's being a jerk too. You need to convince them. And so we get your forces after you. You try to get as many people to come in and tell their offices why they need to get that set on the floor. So let's say once it's set on the House floor, so once the Council Committee sets it, and the committee itself is that committee may vote it down. So not only if it's the chairman, but the majority of the members on that county committee. So then what happens? If they pass it, where does it go? It's set on a calendar. It's read for the second time. I told you it will be read 3 times. It's read for the second time, and it's up for a vote. And what happens then? It doesn't get a majority vote. It's 150 votes. So it has to take 76 votes to pass. What if you get 74 votes? Yeah, that's right. So you got to work with all those people to get a majority of people to vote for it. Once it passes, with 75 votes on second reading, then what happens? It comes back for a third time. That's third reading, and you have one more chance for it to have a vote on it. And if that doesn't pass at that time, it's dead. Even if it passes on the second vote, that does happen every now and then. Once it's passed the third and final reading, vote, then what happens to it? Goes to the other chamber, as he said. Goes to the Senate in this case, and guess what happens there? Same process, same pitfalls all the way along. And once it goes through that process over there, what happens to it? All the way through, and they pass it out finally. And their rules are a bit different than ours, but now they come a bill. Well, it depends. If they change it and make it, instead of $500 fine, make it $600 fine, that's a different bill that we sent to them. That's right, you have a conference committee. And what happens if the conference committee can't decide? Right, they die. So you see, the conference committee decides, and they come in, the House and the Senate have to approve it. They should agree. The Senate can kill it again. So, if you pass all that, then what happens to it? Goes to who? Think of Rick Perry, you don't know that. Rick Perry, say he vetoes the bill, what happens to it? It dies. Now we can override the veto for in session, and it takes, oh my goodness, it's either 3/4 or 3/5 of us. It takes more than a majority to override this veto, and then it will become law. That's the process. So you see how, and you got to do all that within now 120 days. We'll get our committee assignments next week. I'll go 2 committees that are kind of what's called substantive committees, like the committees put here, and then there's some others like counter committees and others that are procedural committees, rules and regulations, those kind of things. Once we get those committees assignments, then those bills will start being referred to us, and then we can hear those bills. Do y'all have any questions?